How's it going, all you beautiful people? I've been keeping track of the price of every single ETB from Scarlet and Violet Base to Phantasmal Flames since the beginning of the year. So every week since January 1st, I've been getting the price of every single ETB. So I go on TCG Player and I go on every single ETB from Scarlet and Violet Base to Phantasmal Flames, and I get the lowest listing of each of the ETBs and I put it on a table. And I know that lowest listing isn't the best way to get the price of something, but I'm just doing a scenario where if you go every single week and you go to every single ETB, how much it would cost to buy every single ETB. And I think as long as I'm staying consistent with how I'm pricing it week by week, it's fair to compare it week after week. And the results are very interesting as the year is going on. So I'm going to show the chart on the screen. And I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I will talk about some of them. But before we talk about it, I do want to point out that tomorrow, a couple sets will be going out of rotation. And what that means is Pokemon will most likely, based on past trends, stop printing these sets. And it's the sets that are from Scarlet and Violet Base to Paldean Fates. So Scarlet and Violet Base, Paldea Evolved, Obsidian Flames, 151, Paradox Rift, and Paldean Fates. So tomorrow's the last day that they're going to be in rotation, which means they're probably not going to be in print anymore. A lot of these haven't really been printed in a while, but officially they will probably no longer be printed. So let's just talk about some of these. The first one I'll talk about is Paldea Evolved, the one with the beautiful Magikarp. At the beginning of the year, it was $124.97. Last week, it was $170.97. Today, it's $188.09. That's an increase of 10.01% since last week, and an increase of 50.51% since the beginning of the year. A 10% increase is very big in 1 week, but these sets are going out of print, and Paldea Evolved is a very popular set. It hasn't seen as great of a move as a lot of the other popular sets that are going out of print. So I'm not really surprised that I saw a move recently. 50.51% increase since the beginning of the year. That's crazy. But if you do look at the average of the percent year-to-date change of all these ETBs, it's 48.66%, which does mean that Paldea Evolved is around the average. There's some sets that performed a lot better, some sets that performed a lot worse, but it's around the middle. So that's the first one I'll talk about. The second one I'll talk about is Paldean Fates. One of the sets, another set that's going out of rotation, which means it's going out of print. It was $264.20 at the beginning of the year, $400 last week, and $423.99 this week. So that's an increase of 6% since last week and an increase of 60.48% since the beginning of the year. That's just crazy. It was already $264.20 at the beginning of the year. And within 3 months, a little over 3 months, it's up 60.48%. If you have any investment that you've held for 3 months, it's up 60.48%. That's an amazing investment. So Paldean Fates, I'm not really surprised. It's a very popular set. And I do think that it'll continue to do good because it is going out of rotation. The next one I'll talk about, a little down the list, Surging Sparks. It was $69.15 at the beginning of the year. And I did think that at the beginning of the year, and in my first video that I made, I did say that this is one of the ones I think is underrated because in this list, it was the second lowest ETB at the beginning of the year. And I do not think that it is the second worst ETB on this list. Last week, it was $97.98. Today, $100.99. It has officially passed the $100 mark, which is just crazy because there was a time period a couple months ago where a lot of people didn't want Surging Sparks. I don't know how it was like in your area, but there's so many people that were passing up on Surging Sparks ETBs. And I think a lot of these people, they didn't want it because there was no real flipping money to be made. MSRP after tax is about $55. A lot of people were selling on secondary market for like $65, $60 if you're trying to sell locally. So there wasn't too much money to be made. So a lot of people were skipping out on Surging Sparks. And Surging Sparks has been printed a lot. But even with that, I do think it's underrated. It's a Pikachu set. Pikachu is one of the all-time Pokemon. It has the most cards in all of Pokemon. So I'm not really surprised that it's over $100. Although, did I think it would be over $100 this quick? Probably not, but it is up 3.07% since last week and up 46.04% since the beginning of the year. It's crazy seeing how much every single one of these ETBs is up since the beginning of the year because it's only been a little over 3 months. The next one to talk about is Prismatic Evolutions, and this one's very interesting. There's only 4 ETBs that went down in price since last week. All the ETBs are up since the beginning of the year, a good amount up since the beginning of the year, but Prismatic Evolutions is one of the 4 ETBs that is down since last week. It was $122.55 at the beginning of the year, $174 last week, and it's $167.99 this week. So that's a decrease of 3.45% since last week, and an increase of 37.08% since the beginning of the year. Prismatic Evolution saw a high of, if I remember correctly, about $220 not too long ago. But there was a massive reprint recently, and the massive reprint consisted of Walmart getting a couple 100,000 units of it. GameStop was selling them. A lot of people with distribution accounts were getting loads of Prismatic Evolutions. So that's the reason why it's fallen from 220 high around there to $167.99. I do think that if you've been wanting to buy Prismatic Evolutions on the open market, that right now is a good opportunity. To go down from about $220 to $168, I mean, how much more down do you want it to go? I don't think that it's going to drop that much more once this print run kind of gets dissolved in the market. His prices will start to go up, and it's Prismatic Evolutions. Prismatic Evolutions will do well over time. If Prismatic Evolutions does not do well over time, then it didn't matter which set you bought, because if Prismatic Evolutions doesn't do well over time, no set will have done well over time because the whole Pokemon market will be down. Prismatic Evolutions is one of the most popular sets that people like to rip, that people are investing in, and it's just a set that's going to do well in the future. Eevee Evolutions, they're very popular across the board. There's God packs in there. I know it's hard to get hits in there. That's one of the downsides of it. But Prismatic Evolutions dropping that much in that short amount of time, I think within 3 weeks or something, it dropped from $220 to $168. If you wanted to buy it, right now is a good opportunity to buy it. I don't know what more of a dip you need, but that's just my opinion. I know people have different opinions. Let me know in the comments if you think Prismatic Evolutions is underrated. If you think that the prices right now are good to buy at, let me know. I'm kind of curious on your thoughts. The next one I want to talk about is Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals is another really hot set. At the beginning of the year, it was $133.91. Last week, $222. This week, or today, $220. So it's dropped 0.9% since last week. Not that big of a deal, but it is up 64.29% since the beginning of the year. Destined Rivals saw a massive increase to start the year. It looks like it's consolidating a little bit, so I'm very interested to see what's going to happen in Destined Rivals. Let me know in the comments what you think about Destined Rivals. I think Destined Rivals is one of the best non-specialty sets. It's a set that's going to be sought after for many years. Team Rockets always do well, but let me know what you think about Destined Rivals. The next one, White Flare. At the beginning of the year, $79.01. Last week, $79.98. Today, $105.99. That's an increase of 8.18% since last week and an increase of 34.15% since the beginning of the year. So this one hasn't gone up as much since the beginning of the year, which is kind of crazy to say because something going up 34.15% in 3 months is still kind of crazy. But it did see a pretty big jump from last week. And I do think that Black Bolt and White Flare are very underrated. I do think that they're one of the most underrated sets right now. They're very popular specialty sets. The opening experience is phenomenal. There's a lot of very expensive hits in both sets. And since it's a specialty set, there are no booster boxes. And when there aren't booster boxes, ETBs are the king. So ETBs will be the item that's collected for this set and on any specialty set moving forward because that is the item that most people will collect when there are no booster boxes. The last one I want to talk about, the last one on the list, Phantasmal Flames, the beautiful Charizard, one of the best Charizards ever made. The art is very beautiful and man, that Charizard is carrying this set. At the beginning of the year, $76.11. Last week, $109.98. Today, $119.99. So it's officially around $120. It went up 9.1% since last week and up 57.65% since the beginning of the year. That's crazy because Phantasmal Flames was the newest set that was out there when January 1st came about. So the reason why I put Scarlet and Violet base to Phantasmal Flames is I chose all the ETBs that were in rotation and out. And Phantasmal Flames being the most recent on this list and being up 57.65% is just crazy. I mean, look at the ones before. Mega Evolution's Mega Lucario only up 12.19% since the beginning of the year. Mega Evolution's Meta Gardevoir only up 21.19% since the beginning of the year. White Flare, 34.15% since the beginning of the year. Black Bolt, 40.05% since the beginning of the year. I mean, Destined Rivals, it's a lot of sets ago from Phantasmal Flames. It is up 64.29% since the beginning of the year. But for Phantasmal Flames being up 57.65% since the beginning of the year and being fairly recent, that is crazy. I mean, Phantasmal Flames is probably going to do really great things. The booster box is doing really well too. Everyone just wants a Charizard. It's literally carried by the Charizard card. And that is what one card can do with first set if everyone wants to collect that one card really bad. But overall, the Pokemon market is on fire. I don't care what people say. I mean, I do care what people say. But a lot of people are saying they're scared of Pokemon tanking, they're scared of the downfall. But as of right now, the reason why I'm doing this series is you can have a lot of opinions on things, you can have a lot of thoughts on things, but one thing is true, data doesn't lie. And the data is clearly showing that in the first 3 months of this year, the Pokemon market is booming. Will it continue to boom? I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that Pokemon will continue to boom? Perfect Order came out. It's not a very popular set. It's one of the first sets that I've seen that is not staying on the shelves for that long, or staying on the shelves for a lot longer than other things that recently have been on the shelves of Target, Walmart, different big box stores. So let me know what you think about the Pokemon market. Do you think it's going to end as strong as it started? The 30th anniversary is coming up. Let me know what you think in the comments about what you think about the Pokemon market. But if you watch up to this far, I really appreciate you watching. I'd really appreciate you would subscribe to my YouTube, follow me on TikTok and Instagram. Main thing is YouTube. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube just because that's the first goal you need to meet to hit the YouTube partner program. You need some other stuff, but without 1,000 subscribers, that's kind of the starting point. So I'm trying to get there. I'm far away because I'm 300 something, but I will keep making videos. Hopefully they're entertaining. Hopefully I get better at them. But most importantly, I really appreciate you watching, especially if you're here still. That means the most to me, and I will see you next time.